Hey, Joe from Boulet's Garage. So, what's that? It's brake lines. So, did you ever see the scene in Apollo 13, one of my favorite movies, where the carbon dioxide's getting too high in the spaceship? So they got to build this thing that's going to reduce the carbon dioxide so the astronauts don't die. Well, I got to figure out how to fit this down behind there without destroying it, all the way over to there. Okay, all my wonderful YouTube friends, what's the first thing you should check before doing brake lines? Well, you're going to want to make sure that all the brake bleeders are free. And I have done that on this truck. Now, this is right where that brake line failed. Right there. And good thing, because I thought I didn't, but they did send me a new section for that right here, which is awesome. I could have made that section no problem, but I went around each brake bleeder and made sure I could get them free. This truck has had the calipers replaced, and it's had wheel cylinders in the back and all that. So yeah, just make sure you always check to make sure your brake bleeders can be freed up. That's always a really good idea, because you don't want to get your lines all on there, get the fluid all in it, and find out, oh, I can't get the brake bleeders free. And you can heat them up from time to time and get them to break free, but other times they're just, if they're that bad, you might as well just replace the caliper. But yeah, this thing needs to be undercoated. He's giving the truck to his son, and if he doesn't get it undercoated, it's gonna not be around much longer, I can tell you that. This individual doesn't like to smell the oil, but I tell you what, I'd rather have my frame stay intact, and it doesn't smell that bad for that long. All right, so I think I'm gonna start by replacing the simple sections first here, and then move on to the more difficult, hellish one behind the firewall there. So I'll see you in a few. Alrighty, so I got one of the sections done right there, and I figured I'd go section by section and give you my input. So those are bent pretty much where you need them to be. However, during shipping they can get tweaked a little bit, so they're not going to fit exactly, but you do got to bend them a little bit. But it's so much easier than making your own lines, definitely. And no one, you know, any of you guys out there have done a flare, you got it all in there, and then find out it leaks because you rushed the flare or you didn't do a good job. That really sucks. So try to avoid that and just get factory lines if you can. All right, I went over to the passenger side of the truck. I got this section done. This side wasn't really that bad, but we had it to replace anyway. So I got this other spirally type line done here. I still got to tighten it into that block. So I'm moving on to the big long one that goes up against the firewall, and I'm going to show you what's going on with that before I actually roll my sleeves up and get into it. Actually, I'm wearing short sleeves, so I won't have to roll my sleeves up. Hold on a second. All right, here I am. And so again, I have this line here. It's got that curly part on the end. It's gotta go all the way over there. And I gotta get it against this firewall without destroying it. See, I got this out of the holder. So I gotta get it up around this harness. I'm gonna have to bend this a little bit to get it in there or out of there. People say, why don't you just cut it and be done with it? Well, I got to make sure I can get it back in one piece. So that is where the challenge is. So I'm just going to take my time at doing this. I can't film it and do it at the same time. And, you know, if I could do that, that'd be great, but it ain't going to happen, my friends. So I'll get back to you. All right, I got that brake line in there that runs along the firewall that I was kind of whining about before. But it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I guess I could have been more optimistic about it. But this is where the line starts right here. So if you have the pleasure to do one of these, you want to disconnect it from here first and then pull it through over to the other side. And you just want to pay attention to the way it's routed. You got to bend it to get it out, and you got to bend it to get the new one in, but you just don't want to actually kink it because then you'd be screwed. But I got almost 4 hours into this now. I get it filled up. I get it bled out basically. I got to put the covers back on and, check it for leaks or anything like that, but we should be all set. But I want to show you, this is where I brought this in, was in here for state inspection, and I failed it. And we want to get rid of state inspections, but yeah, that's a whole different story. But you can see where it's weeping through. This line, I actually pressed hard down on the pedal to see, how bad the lines were, and it blew out. Coming into the shop, you can see this nice little pile of fluid on the ground over here. But yeah, it was one of these short sections. Actually, no, it was this short section right here that failed. So this piece is on the passenger side. You can see, I mean, isn't it amazing? You look at, like, it looks shiny, brand new, and then you get down with any salt exposure. Boom, rusted. Same thing with this line over here. It goes across the firewall. Brand new looking, and then junk. Well, yeah, it's something to think about, though, for inspection. I mean, this guy's giving this truck to his kid, and he's a brand new driver. And just imagine if the brake pedal went down like it did for me coming into the shop. You could have rear-ended somebody, or worse, get in an accident and get seriously hurt. But they want to do away with state inspections in our state, and I know there's only 12 states in the United States that do state inspections. Yeah, but we want to be one of them that doesn't, I guess. But I could care less either way. I mean, I like to see cars be safe, but it's kind of a headache for me to have a station in a lot of respects, but I won't go into details on that. But this line wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. You just got to be methodical in your approach and take your time. I think one of the worst line replacements I ever did when I worked at the Honda dealership, and I'm kind of dating myself here, but back in like '89, they had a recall on the Prelude S and Prelude SIs, where they ran the power steering hose right over the top of the exhaust manifold, and they'd leak and they'd spray power steering fluid all over the exhaust and catch on fire. And there was like a 20-page bulletin on that and how to do it. And one of the guys I worked with, he wigged right out. He left early for the day. He didn't show up the next day. I thought he had quit, but he tried to skip a step in that bulletin, and he paid for it. But if you followed that right to the T, you didn't have a problem with it. But just think, have your brake lines checked out. And if they're rusted or compromised in any way, you got to replace them before you have the unpleasant experience of your brake pedal going to the floor. If you like this video, please do so and subscribe. That would be even better. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good night.